The DS160 form for an L1 visa application is no joke. There are a lot of minute details that you need to get from your I-129 and from your entire petition, and the visa officers do read the DS160 form really carefully. It's easy for them to get the entire information from the DS160 form rather than going through the petition. This video is going to cover some important ground about the DS160, and this is applicable for both L1A and L1B as well as for blanket and individual petition. We're going to cover 5 of these important points, so keep on watching. Hi guys, my name is Shachi. I'm a US visa coach, and over the last 4 years, I've worked with many applicants, helping them in their L1 visa application process. And on this channel, you will also find other useful videos about the L1 visa process. You can work one-to-one with me, and I can help you with your DS160 form, interview prep, and mocks. The link for all of the good stuff is right below in the description box. You will also find some free resources as well. So to make full use of this video, have these 4 documents handy with you: your passport, 797, 129, and the entire petition bundle shared with you by your law firm. Grab your laptop and let's get started. I have a L1 DS160 form open in front of me. Let's get started. The first page is the personal information page. Now, this page has a lot of factual information, and most of it will come from your passport. So you need to have your passport copy with you and make sure that details such as your name, place of birth, date of birth, the passport number, the date of issuance, date of expiry, all of this is coming directly from your current passport. There's also a lot of confusion when it comes to the address which is asked in this page, and there are 2 questions for the address. First is a home address and second is a mailing address. Now here's an easy thumb rule that you can follow. When it comes to home address, make sure that it matches a government ID. So this address could come from your passport or from your Aadhaar card. If the passport address is still valid, you can enter that. But if the passport address is not valid or you don't live there anymore, you can enter the address as per your Aadhaar card. The second address that is asked is a mailing address, and this can be your current address where you're living right now, and this need not match your passport or your Aadhaar card. Now, a recent development that you must be aware about is social media screening, and as of now, this is only for the student visa applications. But with the US visa rules constantly changing and shifting, we need to be careful about the social media handles even for an L1 application, and I feel just being thorough about it is better. So you also need to take care to fill in all your social media handles. Now there are 2 questions in the DS160 form for social media. First one asks that do you have any social media presence? And when you tick yes to this question, it'll give you a list like a drop down box, and you need to scan through all the platforms mentioned in that list and enter the details of the platforms that you're present on. It doesn't matter whether you are active on that platform or inactive, or whether you post content or don't post content. If you have been present on that platform in the last 5 years, then it has to be declared in the DS160 form. And once you select the platform, it will ask for a handle name or a URL, and that is where the officer will be able to see your profile. So many times we see that there are mistakes when the URL is entered. Either the link is broken or the URL is not really working. So once you enter the URLs, just go back, check, click on them and make sure that they're actually working and leading to your profile on that particular platform. There's also another question when it comes to social media, and this asks that are you present on any other platform? So let's say that you're present on other platforms apart from that drop-down list, and this could be places like Discord or GitHub or even Snapchat, then that can be declared in this particular question. So do a complete scan of your social media profiles, and wherever you're present in the last 5 years, make sure that you update it in the DS160 form. And also keep in mind that before you go for the interview, keep all these profiles public so that in case the officer does want to check and click on the links, he is actually able to see your complete profile. One more thing which I think you should take care for an L1 visa is that your LinkedIn profile should match your DS160 work description. So very soon in the video, you will see that we'll be discussing the work education section of the form. Just keep in mind that whatever you enter in the work education section matches the details that you have put into your LinkedIn profile. The second page of the DS160 form is the travel page, and I feel travel page is quite important because it gives the officer a quick snapshot of where exactly you're going and where will you be working from in the US. And there are 2 to 3 common mistakes that we see when it comes to this page. The first one is the intended length of stay. Now many times we see that people put in 3 years, sometimes even 5 years as the intended length of stay, assuming that's the general duration of an L1 visa. But this actually needs to match the number of months remaining as per your I-797. So take a copy of your I-797 and look at the end date. It might be, let's say, September 2028. If that's the case, you need to calculate the number of months from your intended date of travel till the expiry of your I-797 and enter that as the length of stay. So let's say that I plan to travel to the US in Jan 2026 and my I-797 is valid till September 2028, which means that I have a total of about 30 months left, and that is what should be entered in this section of the DS160 form. Another common error we see is with respect to the person paying for the trip. Now, though the word trip is used, it doesn't refer to your flight or your travel expenses. It actually refers to your stay in the US, and this question is mainly asked to see who's your sponsor in the US. A common error we see here is that many applicants mention it as self. However, the right option to select here would be your employer in the US or your US petitioner. The third important part to take care in the travel page is all the details with respect to your previous US visa travel or any previous visa rejection. So if you've traveled to the US previously, then that part is also checked, and many times we see questions asked by the visa officer. This is especially true in the last 2 to 3 months when any previous travel to the US, especially if it's a long length of stay, is being questioned. And also if you have any visa refusal, the DS160 form will give you a box to explain that refusal. So properly structuring this is important as well. So in case you need a proper review and help with framing these parts of the DS160 form, do reach out to us. The link to book a DS160 review with me is right below in the description box. The next page of the DS160 form is the work information page, and this is the most important part, and this is what the officer is going to read for sure. I can go on and on about this page, but I'm going to cover some important pointers here. First thing is the length of the description. Now, many applicants tell us that they're confused how much to write. Should it be really brief and concise, or should it be detailed? Well, the answer is that you need to be somewhere in the middle. It cannot be too brief that the officer gets absolutely no information about your work. At the same time, it cannot be too lengthy because the DS160 form doesn't allow for any formatting. So everything that you write sticks together, and if it's too lengthy, it'll be difficult for the visa officer to read and comprehend it. The second thing to keep in mind is that it needs to align with your petition. So if you see your petition, it'll have a detailed breakdown of your current work and also of your role in the US. The DS160 form talks about the present work information. So this needs to align with your present work description of the petition. And typically a petition would give a table in which your work roles, your day-to-day responsibilities, and also the priority or the percentage of that work role, how important it is also assigned. So that it could be your starting point of how you structure this part of the DS160 form. Also do keep in mind that the petition is really detailed, so you possibly cannot enter all the information, but we need to have the essence and the concise version of that in the DS160 form. Now, there are some specific pointers for filling out this work description, and this is different for L1A and for L1B, so I'm going to cover this separately. Let's start with L1A. When it comes to L1A, there are 2 to 3 important things that visa officers are looking for. First is your team size. So in your description, you clearly need to highlight your team composition, how many direct, how many indirect, and what are your work roles with respect to the team. Second is any responsibility towards budget, P&L, revenue, margins, growing the business. All of these have a lot of weightage for L1A. So if your work role has any of this, clearly mention it. And you could also give numbers. For example, you handle a budget of, let's say, 5 million USD per year, or you have a revenue target of, let's say, 10 million USD per year. Even those numbers could be indicated. Third is stakeholder management. So as a L1A, you cannot be an individual contributor. So apart from your team, all the other stakeholders that are involved in your work, it could be client, it could be internal teams, it could be external vendors, that can be indicated in the DS160 form. And finally, if you have any responsibility which aligns towards decision making, strategy, process improvement, new market, business development, all of those also carry weightage for an L1A, so make sure to highlight it. Coming to L1B. Now L1B is all about your expertise and your specialized knowledge, and that is what the visa officer will be looking for when he reads your DS160 form. A very common error we see is that many times people do not mention the proprietary tools, proprietary technologies that they have a knowledge of, or they have developed, or they have worked on. And this is a big thing to miss. So if you have worked on anything proprietary for your company, be it a tool, technology, platform, or you have developed any proprietary framework, and this applies to even people from a non tech background, let's say from finance or from insurance, that needs to be clearly highlighted in the DS160 form. In fact, the way we structure the DS160 form is that we lead with that. For example, we had a software developer recently who had developed a proprietary tool for a company from inception. So that was the first two lines of the DS160 form, that I'm working as a software developer and my main expertise is the proprietary platform XYZ, which I have developed right from inception. And then it went on to give 4 to 5 other points about his other knowledge, including knowledge of other proprietary tools and frameworks. So this is the main thing to take care of in L1B. And you could also include details of other tools, technologies, or details of other domains that you might know well or you are a subject matter expert. So highlighting the managerial aspect for L1A and the expertise and the specialized knowledge for L1B is really important, and it should start right from the DS160 form. Of course, these are the questions which are going to come in your interview as well. So what do you do as a manager? What's your specialized knowledge? Why you? Why can't somebody in the US itself handle this? And why can't you do it remote from India? And what happens if you don't go? These are very common and typical questions of L1 visa. If you need help with the interview prep and making sure that you are structuring clear, concise answers for this and also practicing them through mocks, do reach out. You can book a one-to-one session with me. The details of all of this is right below in the description box. And this brings us to the 5th page of the DS160 form, the temporary work information page. And this gives the officer the details of your exact place of work. Many times, the work location might be different from your actual company address or office. For example, you could be working for a client, you could be in a remote location, or you could be in any other location of the company. And that details is entered right here. You will get this information from your 1 to 9. So if you look at your 1 to 9, it'll have details of your place of employment in the US and the exact address, and that needs to come from there. Also, one thing to keep in mind here is the salary. So this section also asks you to enter the monthly salary in USD, and this refers to your salary in the US. Many times we see that the mistake which happens here is the complete annual salary is mentioned here instead of monthly. So make sure to get the annual figure from your 1 to 9, divide it by 12, and then enter in this section of the DS160 form. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. You could also DM me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @shachi.mall, and we can help you with the entire process, right from filling or reviewing your DS160 form to interview prep and mock. You can work one-to-one with me for this. The link for all of this is right below in the description box. Do take a look. And also we have other videos on this channel for L1A, especially the YouTube shorts, because that's where we upload a lot of recent interviews and a lot of recent client experiences. So do take a look at all of this and stay subscribed. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.